was before. And therefore, the response from Honorable Chair, I don't think is adequate for these particular issues. Thank you, Chair, Speaker.
GK, Chairman, have you brought
Thank you, Honorable
inadequate
Speaker.
answer?
I am happy to know that the honorable members who come from that area have their facts and they are concerned with the pace of work and the design of the said roads. So, Honorable Speaker, we request, because we have a planned meeting as a committee with the Minister in the first week of next month, that you allow the members to visit the committee to attend the session, and we will have this as one of the agendas for that meeting, and we will have it discussed in details, because I don't want to say that the minister has not given factual information. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next order. Yes, Beatrice Kamei.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I stand to bring to your attention that on 2nd of April, I requested for a statement and regarding the circumstances surrounding the burial of multiple unidentified bodies at the Kericho County Cemetery. And Honorable Speaker, you gave a directive that on 9th, which was on a Thursday, and the chairman should respond to the same. And now it's another week and he's not responded. Honorable Speaker.
It was the chairman health, right? Or was it security?
It was two, chairman health and then security. And Honorable Speaker, I feel unhappy that records are not kept in this, maybe those who are supposed to respond, and there's no information about the same. And this issue, Honorable Speaker, has taken very long. And if we delay more, it will be overtaken by events. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm wondering why it has taken that long. Thank you.
Yes, Tongoyo.
It's true, Honorable Speaker. We have.
I had paired you with health.
Yeah, but
right.
In regards to what was come from my end,
yes,
it is still among the few 15 statements that are pending.
When can you bring?
Let me try to sit here. Today is Wednesday. Because the problem is not signed. I think there's already a report, but the problem is a signature from the Minister of the PS. So maybe Tuesday, Honorable Speaker.
We give you Tuesday?
Yes, please.
I know that Honorable Nyikal, whom I paired you with, is bereaved.
Yeah.
So you can deal with both the health and the security aspects.
I don't know. Maybe why don't you kindly give the vice or somebody from the health?
Who is the vice chair of health? Betsimba, are you in the committee of health? Pauline, you are in health. So liaise with your committee on Tuesday. You bring a composite response on matters health and security. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next order. Yes, Betsimba, what is it?
Mheshimiwa Speaker, pia mimi nimesimama kukukumbusha ama kwa malalamishi kama haya mwenzangu aliyozungumzia hapa. Kabla tuende kwa likizo fupi, nilisoma statement ambayo ilikuwa iko katika Department ya Education, na ulitoa ruling ya kwamba immediately tukirudi kutoka kwa likizo nisomewe response. But up to now hakuna chochote ambacho mimi nimeelezwa.
Anybody from health?
Education,
sorry. Owen, Bayer. Oh yes, Eve Obara.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. We'll follow up and
revert. Immediately from the short recess?
Yes, as soon as we are back from recess. Thank you.
When can you bring?
1 week after we resume from recess, Mr. Speaker.
So next week?
Yes.
Wednesday afternoon?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Wednesday afternoon is loaded with 2 ministers, so bring on Tuesday afternoon.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order. Yes, member for Turukana from Loima, sorry. Yes,
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also have the same concern as to the same like the member for Honorable Bedisimba. Honorable Speaker, last week or 2 weeks ago, myself and Honorable Kitur were to attend a committee meeting where the CS for roads was to attend so that they can be able to answer our statement. And Honorable Speaker, I'm only seeing that Honorable Kitur statement has been responded and mine has not been responded. And this actually, I asked it like 1 month ago. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
GK, you are supposed to respond to the request from member for Loima. When can you?
In 2 weeks, Honorable Speaker.
Now, you have already consumed 2 weeks.
Yes, we need additional time, Honorable Speaker, so to avail.
Next week, Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. Next order. Yes, yes, Mombasa Raha.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine is the same matter as well. I was expecting our chair, the chair for security, Tongo, to have responded to the question. It's been over 3 to 4 weeks now. Thank you.
Tongoyo. When is the response ready?
Kindly, Honorable Speaker, maybe I need to be reminded which question specifically it
What
was.
did you ask about, Honorable Member?
It was in regards to the mounting of roadblocks across the country,
Roadblocks everywhere, yes, I remember.
also known as toll stations.
Yeah, I know his interest because he's in transport industry. Honorable Speaker, notwithstanding, unfortunately, is among the still pending ones. Let me try also to get the response next week.
Next week.
Yes.
Yes, Nakuru Town East.
Mr. Speaker, I hear the sentiment of honorable members, but at the same time, honorable Speaker, my committee has 3 responses that we are ready to be able to give, but it has not been scheduled. It's important for the the clerk's office to be giving us a schedule as to when we can. We have 3 responses that we would want to, actually they are
You can also help, Honorable Gikaria. Your committee clerk
Okay.
should go to the desk office
Oh.
and also file information about statements that are ready.
He told me he did that.
He
and
did
we
that.
have- Yes, that's what he
Clerk
told me.
Ndombi, you make sure those 3 are listed for tomorrow.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
And be ready to
I will be here,
give them
Honorable
tomorrow.
Speaker.
Pauline?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also had a statement before we break for the recess to the Department of Tourism and Wildlife concerning the 3 women who were killed by an elephant. And up to now, I have not had the response, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, where is Kareke? Any member from tourism? Yes. Elizabeth Kailemia. Is the statement ready?
The statement is not ready. However, I'll be able to deliver the message to our chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For when?
I really can't give
I
a
give you
time.
Tuesday.
Okay. Let
Tell
me-
your chairman to respond on Tuesday.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Next
Speaker.
order.
Order number 8, motion, consideration of the consolidated fund services under the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-26. Question to be put.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 8, which is that this House adopts the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee on its consideration of the consolidated fund services under the supplementary estimates for financial year 2025-2026, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 7th April 2026. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 9, motion, Reports of Kenya delegations to the 147th, 148th, 149th, and 150th Assemblies of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and related meetings. Question to be put.
Order, Taitumu, take your seat. Oh, that's not Taitumu? No. Honorable members, I'll now pull the question at order number 9, which is that this House notes the reports of the Kenya delegation to the Assemblies of Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and related meetings as follows. 147th Assembly held in Luanda, Angola on 23rd to 27th October 2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 24th February 2026. 2. 148th Assembly held in Geneva, Switzerland from 23rd to 27th March 2024, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 18th September 2024. 3. 149th Assembly held in Geneva, Switzerland from 13th to 17th October 2024, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 5th December 2024. And 4. 150th Assembly held in Tashkent, Uzbekistan from 5th to 9th April 2025, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 14th October 2025. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, the Quality Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill, National Assembly Bill number 41 of 2025, second reading, resumption of debate.
Zambia is he in the House. Thaddeus Zambia, member for Kilome. He had 2 minutes to go, remainder of the time forfeited. Gertrude Mbeyu, Gitonga Murugara, you are not for that. Ecomas Mutuse, are you for this? John Mutunga, Rindigiri Mugambi. Why are you on the screen? Yusuf Hassan, Anthony Kibagendi. Are you for this? No. Yes.
Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill, the Quality Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill, which we moved yesterday. And probably I need to recap for members to follow.
No, you have under what provisions?
Under your discretion or standing order number 1.
I will not exercise that discretion. Shakil Shabir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for allowing us to debate this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, this healthcare bill that has been put to the House, it proposes a new body called the Quality Health Care Patient Safety Authority. And the roles of this particular authority is to license hospitals, accredit facilities, inspect and audit, enforce compliance.
As a matter of interest, Honorable Shakil, why are you wearing 2 pairs of spectacles?
Oh, beg your pardon, sir. One is my first and patient particular.
Number 1. And patient safety bill, the Quality Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill, which we moved yesterday. And probably I need to recap for members to follow.
No, you are.
The Quality Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill, which we moved yesterday. And probably I need to recap for members to follow.
No, you have under what provisions? Yes.
Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill, the Quality Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill, which we moved yesterday. And probably I need to recap for members to follow.
No, you have under what provisions?
Under your discretion or standing order number 1.
I will not exercise that discretion. Shakil Shabir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for allowing us to debate this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, this healthcare bill that has been put to the House, it proposes a new body called the Quality Health Care Patient Safety Authority. And the roles of this particular authority is to license hospitals, accredit facilities, inspect and audit, enforce
As a matter of
compliance.
interest, Honorable Shakil, why are you wearing 2 pairs of spectacles?
Oh, beg your pardon, sir. One is my reading glasses. I am now an old man, sir. 72 years old, and I'm getting to, it's now causing me a problem.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
go
sir,
ahead.
I apologize. Inspect and audit, enforce compliance, handle complaints, and set national standards. But I thought the Kenya Medical Practice Dental Board and even SHA and the Ministry of Health were actually playing those roles. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dental.
It's called Kenya Medical Dentists and Medical Practitioners.
That's correct, yes, sir. I got that wrong. So does it mean that this bill is scrapping those existing bodies? The new authority that will have duplicate roles to the existing bodies is another creation of a layer of offices and another budget. The appointments of the CEO and top officials of this new authority is to be appointed by the CS Health. The CEO is to be appointed as well. What is happening is we are creating a new authority, sir, a new position, sir, new executive, and it's all funded by the taxman. And as much as I understand and agree that this might have been intended towards health management systems, and meaning county, and the county roles are here, and of course there is a very important issue. There's a quality healthcare patient safety bill. I do not agree that there needs to be a new authority to do this. And even if you have that authority, does it also cover the health, the up to level 5 hospitals which are under the county? It does appear to me, sir, that, Mr. Speaker, sir, that there is the intention might be good, but the way it is framed leaves a lot of questions as to whether we are now duplicating the roles, and whether there has been a vote of no confidence in the Kenya medical dentist practitioners and the other authorities like the ministry and others who have been looking after our health. It is also important, sir, that this particular bill covers patient safety. It's a patient safety bill. It lays out certain requirements of patients who are seeking healthcare services from a health facility. Now, it doesn't say hospital, it says health facility, and these rights are to be read provided under the Health Act, Cap 241. The rights include the right of safe and quality care, the right to timely and effective care, the right to safe and accessible health services, the right to safe processes. All of these things, I thought, in my ignorance, perhaps they were already covered under the Health Act of the Health Act Cap 241. It appears also, it now provides for process of registration, licensing and accreditation of health services. I thought that was put under another body, was to look at all of this. The authority can order suspension and revocation of certificates of the health authorities. Now, I have gone through this bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I'm finding some of the some of the items that are put through are very, very good. But my main concern about this bill is it's quite a voluminous bill. And my main concern is the fact that we seem to have duplicated, and we might be just going the same way as we went for SHA. SHA is a very good, initiative which should have been running together with NHIF, and it would have transitioned from there. I wonder whether we are going back here and taking back all the healthcare control from county and the other authorities whose job it is to monitor and to lay this thing out so that the care of patient safety bill is there. So I would have probably been very happy if this was reduced from quality healthcare and patient safety bill 2025 without the issue of another authority to follow up on these issues. If there is another authority, what about the Ministry of Health and the various departments who are actually there to ensure patient safety and quality assurance measures? Mr. Speaker, sir, there are times and many times that we have found the citizens of Kenya going to a health facility for emergency care. They're not allowed to come in, and they're immediately pushed out. If you go to Nairobi Hospital with emergency care, and if you do not have SHA, they don't serve you well. As a matter of fact, they don't serve you some of the private bodies. There's also the issue of mortuary and the release of bodies, Mr. Speaker, sir. Under patient quality, patient safety and health quality, why will the institutions continue to hold a body which is of no use to them and allow the family to suffer? Mr. Speaker, sir, there have been many, many times our bodies of my constituents have been held at an authority and at a health facility, and we have tried to talk to them. I know two cases, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we said we agreed with the parents, with the family. There was no point of trying to find 5 million or 3 million shillings, and we agreed to go and bury banana stock. And once we started telling the authority that, the hospital suddenly changed its tune. Mr. Speaker, sir, with those few remarks, I don't want to continue to belabor the point. I do think this is a very good work that has been done. However, I think perhaps, and I need to be advised and educated, why an authority is required to do what is already there in the system. Why can't we just fine-tune the system, fine-tune a department in the Ministry of Health whose job will be much of what is captured in here? But I do think that this is a very good bill in respect of detailing the patient safety needs and the quality health care required as is the right of every citizen under the Constitution. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't know whether I support, but I do support part of the bill, but oppose the authority to be formed. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Good. Beatrice Kamei, are you queuing for this? Rindigiri?
Madam Murugara, you can't dictate whether I'm the last or the first. This is a very important bill. And I think all members in this house need to discuss it.
Rindigiri? Beatrice Kamei, are you queuing for this? Rindigiri?
Madam Murugara, you can't dictate whether I'm the last or the first. This is a very important bill. And I think all members in this House need to discuss and support this bill. Because for a long time, Mr. Speaker, we are now over 60 years of independence. And we are having a lot of problems on provision of health services in this country. Mr. Speaker, this bill brings forth the unity and cooperation between the national and county government. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the President for championing the universal health coverage, which I think is going to cater for the health services of this country. Mr. Speaker, for the growth of this nation, we need education, health, and food. That's what is called a state, and that's what is called a country. A country where the government is not able to provide adequate health services, then we are entering into a very serious situation. Mr. Speaker, in the spirit of the Constitution and devolution, there lies the health services. Mr. Speaker, there are so many reasons as to why this bill is coming in handy. One, Mr. Speaker, the population of this country is increasing at a very high speed. Mr. Speaker, in some cities, the population is increasing every day. Mr. Speaker, we are having strains in various sectors: education, transport, and health. This bill is coming to address those kind of influxes where infrastructure is not adequate for the health services. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about the number of doctors per the patient. In Kenya, we are far much below the International Health Organization as far as the medical doctors per patient is concerned. This bill, therefore, addresses the issue of trainings, the skills transfer. It addresses the issue of the quality of the workforce. It addresses the issue of governance and management. It also addresses the issue of health policies and regulations. Once this bill is approved, and I hope it's going to be approved, we will be now talking about provision of health, quality health and safety. Mr. Speaker, you know, I am very much concerned when I hear members saying they went to an hospital and they were given the wrong prescription. Yet, we are seated here saying this bill is not necessary. It is very important because we have to ensure that we have well-trained medical practitioners prescribing the correct drugs at the right time with the emphasis that it deserves. Mr. Speaker, if you check, for example, and I want to address the issue of equity, you find there are some areas where citizens are walking for so many kilometers to access medical facilities. Now, if we pass this bill, one of the cardinal things that the bill is addressing is funding and affordability. Mr. Speaker, if you walk from Tongalen for 20 kilometers looking for a medical facility, if you are walking beyond 2 kilometers, then we cannot say that we are offering quality and quality health services. Therefore, with adequate funding, we all know that we shall put up infrastructure, because it goes with infrastructure, it goes with provision of good drugs, it goes with the provision of having skilled people to attend to the patient. Mr. Speaker, we cannot talk about quality and safety if we don't talk about the customer service. One of the things that has happened in many medical sectors is where you find the treatment of a patient when they appear in a facility. Everybody was complaining here that you can go to a medical facility and you find you are not attended in good time. This bill is talking about how to enhance customer service for the patients who appear in hospitals. Mr. Speaker, you know, People have died in hospital. We have heard one of our members talking about here. He went to an hospital. Nobody attended to their daughter, their son. So where is the efficiency? So really, this bill to me, I think has come the right time, and we needed to pass it. The issue of whether it's an authority or not, that's not the issue. The issue is providing services to the citizens of this country. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those few comments, I want to support this bill and ask the members, please, let's support it, because every Kenyan is watching what this government is doing. They are listening to us. We have spoken about universal health care. We have spoken about share. We have spoken about many things, drugs, everything. Let's make it easier for Kenyans. Let's create a wealth community. Let's create let's create a very affordable health services. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Alice Nganga, are you for this? Yes, Dick Maungu.
Mr. Speaker, I seek to rise on standing order number 95 and note that you seem to have had sufficient discussion on the same, Mr. Speaker, and therefore the mover may be called to reply with your permission.
Is that the mood of the House?
Yes.
Mover, and as when you come to respond, pick the point that Rindikiri has said. You know, have you ever gone to a hospital in India? When you arrive in the hospital, you think you are entering a bank or an airport lounge. Full protocol, PR, ushers, helping everybody. You go to a premier hospital in Nairobi, you find an askari with a rungu welcoming you. If you pass this law, you have to change this. Each hospital, if you want to give proper Medicare, psychologically, every patient has to be psychologically aided to feel that the place he's entering, if it's a hospital she's entering, is better than home where you are sick. But you enter a hospital and you find very furious bouncers standing outside with rungus. You don't know whether you are entering a war zone or a health facility. I hope this bill is going to change, because on our way to Singapore, we must carry everything and everybody to modernity. Yes, Jalango, the mover is to reply. You have something on this?
Yes. That even as we discuss this issue and this bill, Mr. Speaker, you saw what is happening at Ishara Level 4 Hospital. It's very appalling, where even the mortuary attendant is having a bucket to wash bodies and embalm, and the water itself is dirty. So even this bill should address things like that. And another thing, as you talk even about bouncers and watchmen carrying rungus, there's even the worst thing in other district hospitals where they sell even coffins outside the hospitals. As you drive in with your patients to go in for treatment, they even lose hope of even getting well. So this bill should actually discuss, as you say, on our way to Singapore, we need to change a lot of things. And one of them should be what this bill is addressing. That the mover wants to reply on this, it should still come here and be sufficient for debate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Owen.
Thank you, Speaker. And I want to say this in reply, Honorable Speaker, that this bill, the Quality Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill of 2025, is one of those signposts as we approach Singapore, is one of the signposts that we must see as we proceed on the journey. Because for us to really proceed to that first world level, then we need to take some measures to reform the health sector in this country. And one of the most important reforms that we must do is to look at care of patients and safety of patients. And that is why this bill is very fundamental on that journey, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have listened to the debate that has ensued, and apart from the issues that the Kisumu West MP was raising, there are certain fundamental things in this bill. For example, Honorable Speaker, if someone went to hospital and there was an accident or an incident that happened, and that patient seeks justice, he will require probably 3 years. We had Honorable Beatrice Alachi telling us about Justice Majanja's case, where I think there was a misdiagnosis of issues happened, and they have been seeking justice since then, and the court has never issued a ruling or a judgment on the same. And yet he was a judge. And yet this bill, Honorable Speaker, establishes a tribunal that brings on board members of the medical practitioner and legal officers who have a background in
And
legal
I hope
matter.
you are not piling doctors in that tribunal to protect each other.
No. Actually, the reason, Honorable Speaker, why this is coming here is that we have seen, if you look at KMPDU as a regulatory body for safety and all that, what they do some peer protection of the doctors there. If you go to the nursing council, if a nurse makes a mistake, you go there, they have some peer issues there and they protect each other. But this body that we are setting up, Honorable Speaker, will actually cure this. We also looked at the issue of forum shopping, where when you have an issue in the medical field as a professional, you want to see which area, which body can best protect me. And therefore, instead of going to the right body, you are tossed up here and there so that the doctor gets protection. We have nothing against doctors, but what we are saying is the safety of the patient must be guaranteed, not just in the Constitution, but even in the statute that we are passing. And this statute is very important, Honorable Speaker. So this bill, and I wish to request every member as we come to the third reading, Honorable Speaker, and as we debate at the Committee of the Whole, has very fundamental things that will change the health sector, Honorable Speaker, moving forward. And therefore, I want to thank those that contributed yesterday and those that have contributed today, and we look forward to not just the constitutional requirement that government must provide health services and health care, Honorable Speaker, but quality health care and safety for all patients. I beg to reply, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 10, which is that the Quality Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill, National Assembly Bill number 41 of 2025, be now read a second time. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to give effect to Article 43(1)(a) of the Constitution to provide for the responsibility of the national and county governments in the realization of quality of health care for patients, to provide for the establishment, powers and functions of the Quality Health Care and Patient Safety Authority, registration, licensing and accreditation of health facilities, to provide for the setting of standards for quality of health care and for connected purposes.
Thank you, honorable members. On the next two orders, I've had a request from the promoters of the bill at Article 12, the Public Participation Bill, to reorganize, and have sought the concurrence of Jane Kagiri. So clerk will start with 12 before we come back to 11. So call out order number 12.
Order number 12, the Public Participation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2025, second reading.
Mover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Public Participation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2025, be now read a second time. Mr. Speaker, allow me first to thank the Honorable Jane Kagiri for the indulgence. Mr. Speaker, this public participation bill is one that has been long overdue. It is timely,
It is one which has been required by judicial edict. It is one which has been demanded by the public. It is one which has been encouraged by the public participation organization, public benefits organization, and it is one that has been promised by no less a person than yourself, Mr. Speaker. Beyond Article 118 that most of us are familiar with in public participation, this bill goes to the various public offices that would be required to do public participation. And therefore, the objects capture Article 1, Article 10, Article 69, Article 184, and Article 232, in addition to Article 118. Mr. Speaker, this bill, although promoted by the Honorable Samuel Chepkonga and myself, is one that has benefited immensely from various drafts before that. Mr. Speaker, you'll recall that there have been various drafts on public participation bills by private members. There has been a draft by the Attorney General, and all these drafts were then brought together under the legislative caucus of this assembly. Mr. Speaker, you'll recall that this caucus is one that was put together by yourself and has been immensely beneficial to this House in a variety of ways. In terms of overview, Mr. Speaker, first, this bill seeks to put a framework, but it's a minimalist framework, a basic framework for public participation without being overly prescriptive. It covers a number of areas. One, it covers what we call the responsible authorities. The responsible authority being each office that would be required by law to undertake public participation, be it a county office, be it the judiciary, be it parliament. And it goes ahead to designate who in that institution would be held responsible if public participation is not done. This bill gives general guidelines and requires a responsible authority to now also develop its own unique guidelines, because public participation as done by the county cannot be the same as done by national government or as done by the local chief. So each office then must designate its own guidelines and regulations that will guide it accordingly. It requires that before public participation there must be sufficient notice. The documents on which the public's view is required must be available in time and in a language that is easily understood where that public participation is taking place. It also requires access to the documents and access to persons, including persons with disability. Mr. Speaker, it addresses a very fundamental question that the public raised: meaningful public participation. There was immense complaints, especially on the part of county governments, that they do salutary public participation that is artificial in terms of who attends, in terms of what they say, and in terms of feedback. Mr. Speaker, this bill also seeks to cure something that we have had to suffer. Where a particular bill comes to the National Assembly, we have to do public participation, it goes to the Senate, they have to do it also. And so it provides that where either house has done meaningful public participation, you do not need to repeat it. And Mr. Speaker, in order to make this prescriptive and serious, this bill proposes criminal penalty. And the criminal penalty, where you fail to undertake public participation, is you'd be fined up to 500,000 Kenya shillings. Once it was published, Mr. Speaker, there was an advert in the papers, and immediately there was an avalanche of views that were sent by way of memoranda to this House. That was before we even undertook the countrywide, public engagements that we did. Mr. Speaker, I want to report to you that once it was committed to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, chaired by the Honorable George Murugara, deputized by the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, the committee did a very good job of engaging the promoters and then divided themselves into 3 separate groups, and in 1 week covered the majority of the counties in this republic. In that exercise, the committee engaged with many groups, and they are all captured in the preface of the report in their thousands, so that in addition to what was received earlier, Kenyans gave their views robustly on the public participation bill. And the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee benefited immensely, as will be explained by the chair shortly, on a number of things. They were able to make proposals on how to recapture the objects of the bill. They were able to re-emphasize the place of sovereignty of the people on the bill. They were able to emphasize that public participation must be a civic duty, and it must not be something for which anyone expects to be paid. Because if that happens, then it becomes a form of corruption and doctored. They were able to give feedback, Mr. Speaker, on the need to simplify the language and adhere to the wording of the Constitution, not just to print things in English and or Swahili, but to include Kenyan Sign Language. They were able to emphasize on the need for accessibility. The irony of it, Mr. Speaker, is that there are places we went to as a committee, and our committee has 2 members who are living with disability, and they could not access the very place for public participation on the public participation bill. And so that has been re-emphasized. They were able to emphasize on the mechanisms of giving feedback so that the people can know whether their views were considered, and if they were, why they were rejected if they were not adopted. They were able to insist that any public participation exercise must have the assurance of Article 35, that there's freedom of expression and you will not be vilified or victimized because of what you say during public participation. They were able to say, Mr. Speaker, that in their opinion, the penalty of 500,000 is not even sufficient. They wanted the amount increased, and they wanted the alternative of a jail term. And they were able to say, Mr. Speaker, that at the end of the day, they would still want the court to have the last say on whether that public participation was meaningful or not meaningful, and therefore to be declared void or otherwise. Overall, Mr. Speaker, it is our opinion as the sponsors, and it is the opinion of the committee, that this bill is long overdue. Members should robustly participate on improving it. A lot of the things that one might see on the original draft will have been amended during the committee stage, and the amendments as proposed are actually contained on the last 3 pages of the report. There's a robust report which I urge members to read in all its 80 pages. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I would beg to move and ask that the Honorable George Murugara second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
George Murugara.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to second this very important bill, a bill that is long overdue, very important.
Murugara.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That the Honorable George Murugara second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
George Murugara.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to second this very important bill, a bill that is long overdue. And I begin by thanking the Senior Counsel, Honorable Otiende Amolo, and the Senior Advocate, Honorable Samuel Chepkonga, for doing this with the very, very able guidance of the House, the Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, so that we are able to put the issue of Article 118 of the Constitution to rest by making a provision or making provisions on how public participation should be conducted by every entity that is required to do so. This was one of the bills we found most suitable because it had reservations for each entity to have its own guidelines as regards how they would do public participation. However, the guidelines must be in compliance with the particular act and also in compliance with our Constitution, so that we do not have guidelines that, even if are not statutory instruments, do not contravene the Act and the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, I must also commend the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee and every member, they are all supposed to be here. I see my vice chairman present because we went around the country in 3 groups. We were able to talk to Kenyans at their local levels. The idea was to hear from them what exactly they expect when we do public participation. And their contribution is wide. It is well captured in the reports that we laid in this house. And most importantly, it is good to alert the House that they made various proposals for amendments, which proposals we went through one by one with a tooth comb. And most of them carried the day as far as we are concerned. We are going to propose those amendments in the 3rd reading of the bill, so that the public out there may also know that they were not wasting their time when they made those proposals. What came out most importantly was the fact that the public requires to know what is the fate of their contribution to any policy statement that they discuss or to any bill that is taken to them. Do they have to make proposals that are cosmetic, which means they are just on the surface of it to try and sugarcoat the bill, or do they have to make proposals which are deeply considered by the enactors of the law, by the policymakers when it comes to issues of public participation? It's interesting to say that for the first time, while doing public participation, we actually met children, because a group of young students from school came to us and said they wanted to make representations. We were a bit taken aback because we felt possibly they were not of age, they may not have known exactly what is to be done, until our attention was drawn to Section 28 of the Children's Act, which actually equates children to adults, including making a provision that they would participate in all matters, including legislation that affects them. So we were convinced that we needed to hear the children, and I believe in most of the matters that we do, whether policy statements, policy papers, or legislation, children are affected, and it is the high time we started listening to them. Maybe it has 2 advantages. Number 1, their being affected is taken into consideration. Number 2, we are also growing them so that they know what is going on around them, and they are able to grasp these matters as we go along, and as we go along to make policy statements, or we go along to make laws that affect them. Honorable Speaker, at the 3rd reading of this bill, the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs will bring the schedule of amendments proposed, which amendments we feel are very, very important. They enrich this bill, and they enrich it in such a way that it is the contribution of Kenyans that goes into the bill to make it a better bill than even what this parliament had come up with, so that at the end of the day, Kenyans consume what is suitable to them, what they consider to be most important to them, and we also settle the issue of courts trying to tell us what public participation is. They have always guided us that it should not be cosmetic, it should be valuable, it should not be seen to be just glossing over all that terminology, meaning now we are going to have an act of parliament dealing with Article 118 specifically, which is important to the rest of the country. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, allow me to second.
Honorable members, I now propose a question at order number 12, which is that the Public Participation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2025.
With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, allow me to second.
Honorable members, I now propose a question at order number 12, which is that the Public Participation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2025, be now read a second time. Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Sorry, apologies for that. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to be able to contribute to the debate relating to the Public Participation Bill. I must first commend my colleagues in the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, particularly the chairperson, and all the others for having done a very thorough job of preparation of this bill. I know that I was able to attend one or two of the meetings, particularly the last one when they were reviewing the entire act. And a lot of thought was put in. The participation was very animated, and they took into account all the issues that had been raised by the courts. But I just had two issues with the bill that I will raise. So I support the bill in its entirety, save for clause 20 and clause 12.2. Honorable Speaker, clause 20 says that a responsible authority who is conducting public participation, if they willfully fails to adhere to the principles and guidelines set out under the Act, commits an offense and shall be liable upon conviction to a fine not exceeding 5,000 shillings. Honorable Speaker, I tried very hard to persuade the members of the JLAC committee, and there was various thoughts about it. But these are my thoughts. That clause proposes criminal sanctions on the various persons identified as responsible authorities. That would include the Attorney General, the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, the Clerk of the National Assembly, the Director of Public Prosecution, and even the Clerk of the County Assembly, governors, etc. The worrying about this is that, yes, those responsible authorities may be the focal points in facilitation of the public participation, but it would be extremely dangerous and very alarming if there were to be criminal sanctions against them for things that sometimes they have no control over. Even a good manager can make a mistake in the course of their work or make an omission in the course of the work, even if they are acting in good faith. Let's take Parliament, for example. The Clerk of the National Assembly does not undertake public participation. He undertakes public participation as a responsible authority using the staff members of Parliament and who are supporting the relevant parliamentary committee. It would be wholly unfair to expose the clerk, in this case as an example, to criminal penalties for sometimes a task that he has delegated. He may not even be aware that those omissions were committed. So whenever, and I say it's sufficient that the penalties or the consequences could be that the law would be voided or is voidable. That should be sufficient. But to indict a single officer would be unfair. In fact, the responsibility should actually be on the entire committee. But in this case, even though it is the committee and other staff members who have participated and committed the omission or the commission, it is only one single officer in that particular state department that would be affected or in that arm of government. So with saying all this, and I can give an example. For example, clause number 7C, it says the general guidelines for public participation. One of the things that the responsible authority must take into account is the impact of the matter on the public. That's a very subjective guideline. So what I would interpret as impact to the public may not be interpreted by another person as impact to the public. Subclause F also of clause 7 says the ability of the members of the public to access the necessary information and the public participation forum. Again, this is subjective. One may find that the access has been provided, but others may find that that is not the case. And to hold one officer in the institution liable I think, is unfair and I think almost unconstitutional. Because remember, if any public officer commits a mistake in the course of their work, there is the human resource regulations that can take over. They can also be surcharged. So there is also already existing penalties for failure, not just to undertake public participation in the manner it's supposed to be undertaken, but also in any other processes in the course of their duties. So with that, Honorable Speaker, I wish to give notice that during the Committee of the Whole House, I shall be proposing deletion of clause 20 or an amendment that is more, not as punitive to that extent. And then it takes me to the second one. And I want to say I agree with the entire bill, except only on those two items. Clause number 12, subclause 2. So subclause 1 says that a responsible authority shall analyze and take into account the submissions received from the public. That's perfectly in order. But subclause 2 says a responsible authority shall publish the outcome of the public participation exercise. That's an onerous task. It's a very expensive task. It means they have to post it on the website, they have to post it maybe in the local dailies and other media, etc. I think that already so much has been put into undertaking the public participation and notifying members. They're already putting it on social platforms, the notices, the public hearings, the meetings, notice board, print media, electronic media, television, radio, etc. That's the publication that's done prior to the actual exercise being undertaken. But to say that there should be another publication after the public participation, I think is going to be a rather onerous and very expensive task. I think we can find a middle ground where we say that the fact is the analysis has been done and that can be confirmed to the public. If any member of the public wants the report or the findings or the outcome of the public participation exercise, instead of publishing it, it can be available and any member of the public can ask for it under the Freedom of Information Act when requested. And we've seen that this is normal even in many jurisdictions relating to certain items to boost efficiency. Like in some countries, judges are not required to write a full reasoned judgment in certain category of cases. All they have to do is hand down the orders. And if any person wants to appeal, they can then ask for a full reasoned judgment. Or if they want to have access to it, they can request it. That way, it allows those entities to work efficiently and faster and without much cost. Because publishing each and every outcome of the public participation exercise, some of them no one is interested, some of them nobody will be objecting to, and there will be millions of them going on at any one time across the country and across many state corporations. And that would be putting an extra burden and an extra cost on those state corporations. So again, I wish to give notice that during the Committee of the Whole House, I shall propose again an amendment so that we say that that outcome can be availed upon request to any member of the public. And with that, Honorable Speaker, save for those two clauses, I support this bill in its entirety and appreciate the members of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, and also appreciate the Honorable Samuel Chepkonga and the Honorable Atende Amolo, who have been at the forefront of this, including the Parliamentary Legislative Caucus, because this will put a rest to all the challenges that we've been having to the legislation that this House has been passing at the courthouses. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Ekomas Mutuse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute on the debate on the public participation bill. Mr. Speaker, I am a member, courtesy of your appointment, of the National Assembly Legislative Caucus, and I also serve as the Vice Chair of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. And as a result, I have interacted from the beginning up to the moment with the public participation bill. Mr. Speaker, as many of us know, public participation is among the values of governance that we enshrined in our Constitution and Article 10. And there are nearly 10 provisions in our Constitution that speak to the question of public participation. And therefore, it is a constitutional imperative. However, since passing and promulgating our new Constitution in the year 2010, we have never had a law by Parliament to say how public participation is going to be conducted in terms of the form and substance. The result of the lack of a law on public participation has been that our courts of law have had varied interpretations on how public participation is to be conducted, the quality, the extent, the form, and the substance. The result has been that even in cases where the facts, where the evidence and the applicable law appear similar, different judges have had different findings on our matters. As a result, many good decisions of the executive, many good laws passed by this parliament have been nipped on account of the varied interpretations on how public participation is to be conducted. And therefore, it was imperative that Parliament comes up with a law so that we can set the standard, one standard, on how public participation is to be conducted, and if matters would reach the courts of law, how courts of law are going to treat this matter. I therefore wish to congratulate the Honorable Otiendo Omolo, Senior Council Member for Rarieda, the Honorable Chepkonga, the two co-chairs of the National Assembly Legislative Caucus, for piecing up the different proposals that have been there in the past and coming up with this 21-clause public participation bill that I believe Parliament will enact finally for assent to be our public participation law. Mr. Speaker, as we went around conducting public participation, and as we all know, public participation, we have two levels of government. We have the national, we have the county. We have 47 county governments. As we went around, it became apparent that many counties also have public participation laws. They have enacted their own laws, and if you scrutinize those laws that have been passed by the different county assemblies, you realize, for example, the law passed by the County Assembly of Makueni to guide public participation in Makueni may be different from that of the County Assembly of Meru and many others. And therefore, the question of how shall public participation be conducted in the face of a national law when there are many other varied county laws also came forth. Mr. Speaker, we find the answer in Article 191 of the Constitution in terms of how to treat conflict between national and county laws. And because the subject of public participation is a national subject that has application in the entire territory of Kenya, national legislation will take precedence. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, sorry, I had not noticed that you've taken the chair, so my apologies. There is the question of feedback, and I know the Deputy Speaker has spoken to it. And everywhere we went, Kenyans were saying that they are tired of being called to participate in public participation and they do not know what became of their views in those public participation forums. And they were demanding that they need a feedback mechanism so that whether you agree, whether the body making the decisions, body making the law, body making the policies, agrees or disagrees with the views the public has given, they are made to know what became of their views. And we personally, and I think a majority of our committee members, believed strongly that this is the true meaning of Article 1 on sovereignty of the people. That the people are not merely to participate in as conveyor belts, in just giving views, and they do not know finally what became of their views. One interesting suggestion that came from members of the public, and I believe this was all over, is that members of the public were saying that sometimes it is costly on them to participate in these many public participation forums. And they were requesting that a budget needs to be set aside so that part of their costs are met as a result. We will be inviting Parliament to ponder on this question. But preliminarily, while every other part of the country seemed to say that they need to be catered for in terms of their spending, we found that that particular provision, if included, may be subject to abuse, because you cannot with certainty say how many members of the public will attend. You cannot with certainty say and predict that across the year how many public participation forums you will have, and therefore it will be onerous at the beginning to imagine even now to budget it, and it may be subject to abuse because it is difficult in terms of record keeping, it is difficult in terms of determining what rates to give where and when. We also thought that in terms of the Constitution, it is a civic duty of the people to participate in the affairs of their own country and in how governance is done. And just like Kenyans participate in voting without being paid, it is also on the same premise that they need to participate in public participation without being paid or reimbursed for it. Overall, Madam Speaker, I support the public participation bill with the amendments that the committee will be proposing. It is urgent that we pass this public participation bill into law so that we may have a law guiding this very important principle of good governance that is enshrined in our Constitution. And I urge members to expedite so that finally we may have a law on public participation. I support.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Luanda, Honorable Dick Maungu. I see you press the button. Do you want to? Thank you. The Honorable Member for Luanda, Honorable Dick Maungu. I see you press the button. Do you want to contribute? Or you can give somebody else while you get yourself ready. Okay, proceed. Okay, the Honorable John Waluke, Member for Sirisia. I can see you're on. All those who want to participate, kindly press the intervention button. The Honorable John Mutu.